This is a MUT Radio podcast.
Exactly, just 31 minutes after 11. Welcome to the Hlanganani Midday Show. We connect your mornings to your afternoon. It's an amazing Friday, Mfethu. It's an amazing Friday indeed. And today, we are celebrating a Women's Day. And I thought of something different when I was thinking of this as we are in a Women's Month. And I said, okay, let me try something different. Let's focus on women's health. We know we do have a health talk Tuesday. But also, I was like, okay, let me bring it back on a Friday because the Women's Day is like tomorrow. And I said, okay, let me see what I can do. And I tried and I got a hold of Dr. Sibusiso Ndlovu, who is going to be joining us in just a few seconds right here on MUT Radio. But before we get into that, I just want to read you a little bit of information about Dr. Sibusiso Ndlovu. Dr. Ndlovu holds an MBCH from UCT along with postgraduate qualifications in occupational health and allergy. He is also recognized globally as a top family practitioner by the leading physicians of the world. He brings over 20 years of experience in holistic patient-centered care with a strong focus on chronic disease management. He's based in Pinetown, KwaZulu-Natal. Dr. Ndlovu is not only committed as a committed clinician, but also a dynamic speaker who inspired audiences on topics such as health, wellness, marriage, and entrepreneurship. And he has shared a lot. So that is just a summary of what Dr. Ndlovu does or our qualifications are. But hopefully he's going to be telling us more about that as we're going to welcome him right now. Dr. Ndlovu, welcome to MUT Radio.
Ngiyabonga Mpelo ngibingelele nabalaleli bakho at large.
Yes, thank you very much. And I also heard it's your birthday, so we're gonna wish you a happy birthday la kuHlanganani Midday Show.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Indeed, it's my birthday.
Oh, that is nice. And we're not going to ask the age. Yes. So, I think we should just get straight into it. Maybe just read a little bit about you. Maybe you can tell us more, just briefly, introduce yourself. And, the topic that you're speaking about today is chronic illnesses or diseases that are most likely to affect abantu besimame as we are celebrating a Women's Month. Maybe you can briefly, explain to us why is it important that we raise awareness about this?
Okay. With the first point, I think you've summarized very well what I do, and I don't think I need to add much on that, except that I'm passionate about what I'm doing. Health is my passion. That's what I live to do. I like to even during consultations, when I'm consulting with my patients as we speak, I'm in between consultations. Wow. So I enjoy seeing people. I enjoy interacting with patients and imparting the knowledge. I like to empower people to understand their bodies and the conditions that they are dealing with, so that when you give them treatment, they know exactly what they're treating, why they're taking the treatment. So that's my approach generally. And then in terms of the topic, the chronic conditions that commonly affect women, obviously it doesn't mean that the conditions I'm going to mention don't affect men unless they're gynecological conditions. When you talk about ovarian cancer, we don't have ovaries as men. That's not part of our bodies. But the main thing here is to pick out, there are so many, more than 20 that commonly affect women, but I'll take the ones that maybe the listener is more likely to remember or have sort of had something about. I think it would be of benefit to them than introducing a long list of things that they can't even remember. So I'll pick out things like, when you talk about heart disease, they are more common in women when you compare to men. When you talk about mental disorders, like your depression, your anxiety, it's more common in women than in men. When you talk about things like your stroke, it's more common in women than in men. When you talk about chronic headaches, like your migraine is a type of a disease where you've got constant or chronic recurrent headaches. Also, things like diabetes. It's much more common in women than it is in men. things like Alzheimer's disease. When we talk about Alzheimer's disease, it's dementia. Dementia is when I think a lot of people have got or seen a grandmother where you visit her. As soon as you enter the door, she asks you who you are. You explain yourself, and she says, "Oh, daughter of so and so, son of so and so. How are you?" Your own grandmother.
Yes.
And you go to the shop to come back, you have to reintroduce yourself, or she doesn't recognize you anymore. That sort of a thing where they lose the short-term memory. The ability to think and remember is diminished. That's more common in women than in men.
Wow.
Things like asthma are more common in women than in men. Diseases like autoimmune diseases, that's a whole group of diseases. But the main thing there, we're going to say autoimmune diseases, when your own immune system attacks a certain part of your body because it doesn't recognize it as a part of your body, because there are certain proteins that your immune cells go around the body and looking for on the surface of the cell that then gives it assurance that this is part of your body. If it doesn't find that protein, then it attacks that part. So you do have that signaling problem. Those diseases, they affect different parts of the body. I won't mention specific ones, but we just group them together and say autoimmune diseases. One of them, maybe just for the benefit of the listener, when you talk about rheumatoid arthritis, it's a kind of an arthritis. When you talk about hyperthyroid disease, where your thyroid is overactive because of antibodies and stuff like that. It's a long list, but I thought I should just pick out, the ones that might make sense to the listener. Those are more common in women. Men do suffer from it, but it's more common in women.
Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Ndlovu. And also you've mentioned, also men do suffer from them, but mostly women are most likely to suffer from these diseases. Maybe is there any specific thing that makes them more vulnerable to these conditions?
In some instances, there are two types of what we call DNA. DNA is what carries our coding as to how you end up looking like and how your body functions, basically. That is what we check when you want to see that your child and whatever. That's the DNA we're talking about. But there are two types of DNA. You've got the usual DNA, then you've got the mitochondrial DNA that is only found in females. So some diseases are coming from that. So that's why they'll be more common in females than in males. In some instances, we don't know. We just made an observation that you can tell when you do studies it's more common in women, but we're not sure why that is the case. But like I said, some of it is genetic, where it's more carried by genes that are passed through females. Those are the most common things that would make women more vulnerable to that. In some instances, obviously, it's lifestyle.
Yes.
Women like sweet things and whatever, so it makes them more vulnerable to diabetes as a result. So the behavior and the lifestyle choices do also come into play.
Oh, that is amazing. So maybe if I may ask, are there any symptoms or maybe conditions that often go unnoticed or misdiagnosed kubantu besimame?
Yes, there are, but you would find that fortunately for women, they tend to I don't want to use the word complain, but they tend to notice and want attention for certain things that they see as changes, which we misinterpret as liking to complain, which is a good thing because then it means they pick out things very early. So a lot of times women would rather present to a health facility with a complaint than miss those things. So it's not very common for women to have things that are missed. But it could be the misinterpretation of symptoms, Someone might have, for instance, the migraine and they just attribute that to, maybe I'm working too hard. And therefore they just take the tablet, only to find they actually have a disease called migraine. Some might say, I like doing washing, maybe that's why my joints are painful, only to find they've got what we were talking about, the autoimmune disease. So they might misinterpret their symptoms. And therefore, as a result, you find that there are things that are only discovered late somebody might say they have a backache, only to find that that backache is actually a sign of fibroids, but for them it was made because they work hard. But fibroids, those are just lumps that are found in their uterus. They are where the baby sits, but then they just feel it as a backache. So it's mainly misinterpretation of symptoms rather than missing them completely, because women generally tend to present very quickly or early to look for medical attention.
Now, that was very wise, Dr. Ndlovu. So maybe if we can continue, maybe let's touch on maybe the role that mental health and emotional well-being can play in managing this chronic illness. Is there a role that mental health or emotional well-being play in managing these chronic illnesses?
That's a very good question, Bruno. And a lot of times, for instance, I'm not advertising them, but it's a fact. Discovery Medical Aid, for instance, has done a thing where they now want doctors to ask certain questions about mental condition of a patient, which they use, depending on the answer to the question, which then they use to say this one is more likely to have chronic condition, purely based on their mental health. So, for instance, if you are stressed, most of the time you might find yourself that can cause inflammation, in a state of being inflamed. So if you are at risk of having the very conditions I was talking about, the autoimmune conditions, it become worse if you are constantly under stress. Some people just purely on the basis of stress, they end up developing the blood pressure problem. They have high blood pressure, and then now it needs to be treated. It becomes chronic. Those who already, for instance, have diabetes, you find that their sugar is difficult to control when they're stressed. Those who have blood pressure, high blood pressure, it's difficult to control when they're stressed. Those who have joint pain, it becomes worse when they're stressed. Those who have asthma, it becomes worse when they are stressed. Those who have epilepsy, it becomes worse when they are stressed. So chronic conditions are very much aggravated by stress or depression. So you don't want to be stressed. I mean, some people, when they are stressed, they do what we call stress eating. So you just eat even things that you've been warned against. That, okay, because you have hypertension, stop eating things with salt. And then you find the person going back to eat snacks and flat chips and other. That's a lot of salt. And then their blood pressure goes through the roof, and it's difficult to control. You give them one medication, you have to add. They end up on 4 different pills just to control the BP, because their diet is wrong, because they're trying to compensate for how they're feeling emotionally or mentally. They're depressed. So yes, there's a correlation between the two. So it's very important to take care of your emotional and mental well-being in order to either prevent or at least have better control of your chronic conditions.
Wow. Thank you very much, Dr. Ndlovu. Before we let you go, maybe what practical advice would you give to women who want to take control of their health and prevent chronic disease? I don't know if prevent is the right word, or maybe just limit their chances of suffering from these chronic illnesses.
That's another good question, because prevention is better than cure. I always encourage people to watch what they eat, because a lot of diseases come from that. What goes through your mouth plays a very important role. Try not to have too much oily food. You know, people who say, "Hey, I'm a food and then I'm okay." They want to see that there's lots of oil in their food. Cut down the amount of oil you put in your food. Cut down the amount of sugar you take per day. 2 teaspoons of sugar per day is enough. The entire day, that's enough. 1 teaspoon of salt the entire day is enough. Try and quit smoking if you're smoking. Alcohol, try and not take it, because I know people like to take alcohol and they say 1 glass of wine per day, or if I just take a quart of beer. No, that's not really true. You don't know how your body is like. My liver and your liver are not the same. A lot of times people anyway don't stick to that, what they say. They end up overdoing it. So your alcohol, your smoking, try and avoid that. And then make sure that you exercise. Exercising doesn't only need you to go to the gym. Maybe you're staying far from the gym. Maybe you don't have the money for the gym. But if you look for health clubs in your area, you might find that there are people who meet in a certain space and then they do certain exercises. They, use music, and you see a lot of those. They advertise them in various social platforms. But if you put your ear on the ground, you might find in your area there are such people who run, people who walk. That is enough to actually even boost your self-esteem. When you exercise, by the way, you produce the hormones called endorphins. We call them feel-good hormones. Endorphins and serotonin. They make you feel good. You've got less chances of being depressed. You've got less chances of having stressed blood vessels. You've got less chances of having high blood pressure, and your bones and joints are normally healthy when you do those exercises. You start small and you work your way up. That would be my advice.
Wow. Thank you very much, Dr. Ndlovu. And also thank you for joining us on MET Radio. Maybe you can tell us how can people find you, maybe find your center, and also on social media.
In terms of where we are in Pinetown. We are above Super Spa. The address is 24 Josiah Gumede Road in Pinetown. 24 Josiah Gumede Road in Pinetown. We're just on top of the Spa building. That's where our medical center is. And then the telephone number is 031 940 97 61. And then another number is 081
Yes.
424
Yes.
1936. On our social media, especially YouTube, we've got YouTube channels. Some of the conversations you and I have had before, they also find in YouTube. We load them.
Yes.
Dr. Ndlovu Medical Center. You just type that Dr. Ndlovu Medical Center on YouTube. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you very much, Dr. Ndlovu, and we wish you the best with the rest of your day, and also happy birthday again.
Thank you. God bless you and your listeners.
Thank you.